Welcome to Being Humans. We're better together. I'm Ian Christopher Wendt. This is our 6th episode in our series exploring consciousness, agency, and meaning. We began by considering what is consciousness and where does it come from. We've tried to demonstrate that human consciousness, self-awareness, and agency emerge from the profound complexity of networked human minds in relationship with one another. We emphasize that this occurs for each of us in relationship with our first caregivers, as well as through the meaningful relationships we establish with family, friends, and other humans in community. There are no feral humans. No one springs into consciousness alone in the wild. We introduced the idea that meaning, agency, and purpose are operationalized forms of consciousness applied to the past, present, and future, respectively. Next, we emphasized that notwithstanding the constraints of genetics, physical limitations, and social or institutional pressures, we have the ability to choose, to act with our own willful choices. And then we examined the historical developments that contributed to the rise of human consciousness through relationships, language, technologies, and the rise of complex cultural and wisdom traditions. Let's now conclude by considering whether and how we can grow our awareness, our consciousness, and our agency to live more empowered, meaningful, purposeful lives each day. Surely there are different degrees of consciousness, degrees of awareness, degrees of the will to choose, degrees of wisdom and knowledge. The people you know exhibit different levels of knowledge, skill, expertise, self-awareness, and willpower. Do you know people who always seem to be victims of circumstance, tossed on overwhelming emotional storms that seem beyond their control? Obviously, children have less self-control, less willpower, less knowledge or wisdom, less self-awareness than experienced adults. I love the stories and movies that show individuals and groups of people banding together to resist overwhelming odds, to stand up and struggle and work to accomplish the seemingly impossible. Oftentimes, those stories center on a key leader whose greatest characteristic is the stubborn unwillingness to be defeated, someone who maintains purpose, determination, faith in their family and friends, and hope when most others have given up hope. Surely we can learn, grow, and develop our minds, our emotional resilience, and emotional intelligence. The heart is a muscle, and I want to make it strong. Surely we can grow our awareness of how things really are, our ability to see and hear and understand what is real, our creativity, and our will to do what is best, highest, and most important. Now, a word on wisdom. Wisdom comes from gathering enough knowledge and experience to know which knowledge, principles, values, and goals matter more, and which things matter most in which circumstances. Again, wisdom is knowing what matters more in which circumstances. Foolishness is easier. Foolishness is doing things that are harmful to yourself and others repeatedly, especially when those actions are for no useful purpose. There are plenty of smart, rich, popular fools. Wisdom is hard to gain, and it only comes through work, study, oftentimes learning from pain and failure. Foolishness comes naturally. It's usually the easy way. There are many different human paths to increase the strength and wisdom of our hearts, minds, and bodies. There are many wisdom traditions. There are also a constant variety of life hacks, shortcuts, and success gurus clamoring for our attention to make us richer, more popular, and more powerful. A key component of wisdom versus foolishness is determining your highest goals and choosing an effective, useful path for pursuing those goals. You don't need to choose alone. You shouldn't choose alone. Ask the people you trust most. Follow the examples of the people you most admire, not because they seem rich or powerful, but because they're examples of health, virtue, strength, courage, kindness, and maintaining positive relationships. Study, ponder, and meditate on the divine. Elevate your focus to the highest, best, truest, most meaningful things you can. Can I share with you a basic truth? Many people devote time and energy to debating truth claims and cheering for their personal, cultural, philosophical, and religious systems. But I've met and known wise, kind, caring Hindus, Muslims, Buddhists, Jews, all kinds of Christians, and other believers. I've also met plenty of people from each of these backgrounds who are pretty ignorant, foolish, unkind, hypocritical, and even mean. I do believe that having a functional hierarchy of values and a commitment to a wise set of principles is very important. But many people treat their philosophy or ideology or religion like a spectator sport. They sit in the benches every once in a while and cheer for their team, but they don't actively walk the path. They have strong feelings and opinions about how right their team is, but they don't care enough to work, to develop the core skills, to become good at the game, to truly embody the ideals and principles that their path teaches. So here's the secret. Knowing the path or believing the path is much less important than walking the path. Put another way, it doesn't really matter what you believe about God if you don't actually know God by following God and living your highest principles. That's the best any of us can do. Seek the best path we can, then try our best to follow it. Join with friends and family and communities that support that journey, or better yet, that share that journey together. Learn by doing and by example and by consistent feedback. Along the way, we learn who God is and we embody divine principles better and better. This is how we increase awareness, willpower, agency, wisdom, and consciousness. There are many ways and paths and disciplines, and not everyone has the same goals for increasing consciousness. There are many ideas of what the ultimate in goodness or greatness or divinity or humanity could be or ought to be. We will explore many wisdom traditions, philosophies, and religions in later episodes. Seek wisdom, truth, and practices that work. You can know they work by examining the lives of the people who practice them. You can see the effects and the fruit of the path demonstrated historically. Learn the path and practices you choose in relationship and community with others who walk the path. Practice your principles in communion with these people. Joy, flow, happiness, and successful living over the long term is built on this reality. As we've tried to demonstrate through the previous episodes and videos, consciousness is a collaboration. We learn, we are taught, we are initiated into consciousness. Virtually all conscious action is interactive or relational or communicative. Those interactions, relations, and communions form massive, complex networks of human consciousness. Seek teachers, examples, friends, and family who expand your understanding of yourself, of useful and meaningful knowledge and wisdom, and of your relationships. Let's briefly consider the principles we laid out in episode 8 about operationalizing consciousness to increase meaning, purpose, and agency, or willpower, in our lives. Remember, meaning generally develops from our interpretation of past experiences, by piecing together life lessons and effective principles. Meaning comes from learning the wisdom of others, especially older wisdom traditions. Purpose is looking forward. It comes from identifying the highest goals, ideals, and principles we want to live by. Agency and willpower are exercised now, in the present, the moment of action. No matter how many constraints your genes or your past or the people and institutions around you place on your actions, you have the power to choose where you look, what you feel, what you think, how you respond, and what direction you'll move in now. The world may conspire to slow you down or stand in your way, but you still have the power to choose and to act. How do we increase the meaning of our lives? We can increase our meaning by processing the past, by connecting with wisdom traditions, by developing nuanced understanding of our complicated past. Examine your experiences. Learn from your past, especially your pain. Examine your relationships. Learn from the examples of your people, your close family and friends. If you're like me, you have a great mixture of goodness, hard work, errors, caring, sacrifice, unkindness, selfishness, mistakes, and a good deal of craziness mixed into your friends and family. Learn from all of it. There is meaning to be found. Study, ponder, pray. The divine can also guide you to meaning. How do we increase our purposeful goals? If you don't know where you're going, it doesn't really matter if you get there. I love that saying. If you don't know where you're going, it doesn't really matter if you get there. Aim and then act. Aim again and then move forward. Orient yourself and reorient yourself toward higher goals. When you find ideals and goals that inspire and motivate you to work hard, that fill you to overflowing, that motivate you to connect with and help other people, then you're moving in the right direction. When you find that you're stuck, that you're finding darkness, depression, or unhealthiness, it is time to reconsider. Do you need to work harder or smarter? Do you need to seek support and collaboration with friends and family to pursue your good goals? Or do you need to alter your direction? Explore the best communities and principles you can find. Join, participate, give back. How do we increase our will, our ability to control our thoughts, feelings, and actions? Act now. Work. Work intentionally. We choose our responses. Work to do better than we've done in the past. Work to reorient ourselves. Aim again. Work to reach our goals and keep working. We increase our will and our agency by exercising them. Don't give up. When we find we've been sitting too long, anxious, depressed, afraid, that's when we begin to fear that we cannot act. But we can act. Take the first step, then step again. Aim and act. To all this, let us add the culmination of our view of the origin and nature of consciousness. That consciousness is deeply human, that it emerged and emerges from networked human minds and souls in intimate relationships, in sharing of ideas and principles and beliefs, in cooperation and competition, in giving and receiving and hospitality. And if this is the origin of consciousness, should we not elevate these things and practice them with all our hearts? During the last episode, we concluded that human nature is cooperative, it is relational, it is loving. Human nature is also competitive, hierarchical, violent, and coercive. Human beings in relationships and communities are always striving to order and to maintain a balance between cooperative relations, competition, hierarchy, and coercion. Seek that balance. Elevate the most meaningful and purposeful ideals and goals you can find, and act on them now. Do even better tomorrow. This is our nature and our destiny. If we choose it, seek it, and live it. But if we don't, we will practice isolation, selfishness, foolishness, oppression, addiction, cruelty. The failure of individuals, families, and societies is in us too. But I believe in us and in you. We can all elevate our meaningful principles and hopeful goals. We can live more intentionally. We can increase our will and agency, our awareness and our consciousness. I hope you feel encouraged and uplifted. If you do, pass it along. Encourage someone else. Work together to accomplish something good. Eat, drink, play, laugh together. It's healthy and healing. And please join our community. Like, subscribe, comment, share. Amen, amen. This is the way of being humans together.